When did you last feel genuinely rested? Not just caught up on sleep, not just past the worst of a busy season, actually rested, the kind where you wake up and the first thought is not a task, not a worry, not a mental inventory of everything still undone. The kind where something inside you feels settled rather than braced. If you are having trouble remembering, you are not alone this Friday morning. And if that question lands somewhere tender, if it brushes up against a tiredness you have been carrying so long, it has started to feel like your personality rather than a condition, this is the prayer for you. Because there is a particular kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. It's not in your body, though your body feels it. It's in the place that has been giving and giving without being replenished. The place that has been responsible and faithful and present, day after day, without anyone noticing that the reserves are running low. The place that has been holding things together so long that you have forgotten what it felt like to be held. You burned dinner last Tuesday not because you were distracted, but because you are running on a kind of empty that makes the simplest things feel like one task too many. You sat in a parking lot for 7 minutes before going inside because you needed 7 minutes where nothing was asked of you. You scrolled through your phone last night without seeing any of it, just to have something to do with your hands while your mind had nowhere to go. That is not weakness. That is what sustained faithfulness looks like when it has not been sustained by anything in return. This morning, before this Friday asks you for anything else, I want to bring that specific, unromantic, ground-level exhaustion before a God whose word speaks directly into it. What does your tired actually feel like right now? Not the version you would describe to someone at work, but the real one, the one that lives underneath the functional. If a word or a sentence comes, leave it here. You don't have to explain it. And into exactly this, not the polished version, not the tiredness we have dressed up as strength, but this particular Friday morning exhaustion, in its most honest form, Isaiah spoke a word that was written for people who had run out. Isaiah 40-20, 8:3-1. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. The context of this passage matters deeply. Isaiah is writing to people who have been in Babylonian exile for decades. Not a hard week, not a difficult season, decades. They have buried their parents in foreign soil. They have raised children who have never seen Jerusalem. They have prayed the same prayers for so long that the praying itself has become an act of sheer will rather than felt communion. And into that exhaustion, the bone-deep, generational, how much longer kind, Isaiah asks two rhetorical questions. Do you not know? Have you not heard? He is not scolding them. He is doing what a good physician does when a patient has forgotten something essential, reminding them of what was always true, even when they couldn't feel it. Now look at the Hebrew. The word translated hope in verse 31 is kavah, and it does not mean passive waiting. Kavah comes from a root that means to twist together, to entwine, to braid, like strands of fiber wound around each other until they become a rope. To kavah in the Lord is to wind yourself around him, not to sit at a distance and wish he would act, but to bind your exhausted self to his inexhaustible nature so tightly that when he moves, you move with him. And the word translated renew is chaluf, which means to exchange, to pass through, to molt. The image is of a snake shedding skin, of a soldier exchanging his worn armor for fresh armor before battle. God does not patch the tired version of you. He performs an exchange. What you bring him is the worn out, the depleted, the no longer able. What he gives back is something he has been holding in reserve, something that has not been touched by the season you have been through. And then the sequence of the promise. soar, run, walk. Most people read that as ascending order eagle first, then running, then the ordinary walking. But the scholars note it is in descending order for a reason. Soaring on wings is the dramatic moment. Running is the sustained effort. But walking the ordinary, daily, undramatic putting of one foot in front of the other without fainting, that is the deepest promise. That God's strength is available not just for the mountaintop moments, but for the ordinary Fridays, when all you need is to make it through the day without collapsing. That is the promise this morning. Not that today will be spectacular, that you will not faint. The exchange Isaiah describes, the worn armor set down, the fresh strength taken up, is not something that happens to us while we are busy. It happens in the act of winding ourselves around the one who holds it. So that is what we do now, not efficiently, not quickly, but honestly. Lord, I come to you this morning not with a polished prayer, but with the actual contents of a tired person's Friday. I don't have the energy to arrange this carefully, so I am going to set it down in front of you, the way it actually is, and trust that you are the kind of God who can receive it that way. This is what tired looks like for me right now. The laundry that has been on the chair since Monday is clean but unfolded, because by the time everything else was done, I had nothing left for the chair. The dinner I ate standing at the kitchen counter on Wednesday night, not because there was no table, but because sitting down felt like a concession I didn't have the margin for. The text message from a friend that I read, set down, meant to answer, and then found 3 days later, still waiting, still unanswered, because the kind of presence a real answer would require was something I could not locate in myself that day. The hard conversation I had last week that I handled well, I know I handled it well, but that no one asked about afterward. No one said, "Was that okay?" or "How are you doing after that?" Because I am the one people come to, not the one people check on. And I have built that role so carefully over so many years that I am not sure how to ask for what I have not been asked. Lord, I set all of this down in front of you, not as compliant, as the honest accounting of a person who has been spending without depositing, and who has finally arrived at this Friday morning with the account very low. Father, I ask you now for the exchange Isaiah described, not a patch, not a boost, an exchange. I bring you this tiredness, the specific, unromantic, Friday morning version of it, and I ask you to give me in return what only you carry in inexhaustible supply. Not the feeling of energy necessarily, not yet, but the knowledge, somewhere below feeling, that I am not running on my own reserves anymore, that something has shifted in the invisible place where strength actually originates. You said that those who kavar in you, who twist themselves around you, like a cord around something solid, will exchange their weakness for yours. I want to do that right now, not metaphorically. As an act of spiritual submission, I wind what I have left around who you are, my depletion around your inexhaustibility, my worn faithfulness around your faithfulness that never wears, my nearly empty around your fullness that has no bottom. I am not asking you to fill me with my own strength replenished. I am asking you to give me yours. Lord, I bring before you the specific places in my life where the tiredness is most acute, the relationships I am sustaining that are not sustaining me. I carry them because I love the people in them, and I do not regret the carrying. But the carrying has been one-directional for long enough now that I need you to be honest with me about whether some of what I am calling faithfulness is actually a fear of disappointing people I have taught to need me in ways that are costing me more than they know. Give me discernment about that. Not a reason to withdraw, but the wisdom to know where I am giving from a full place and where I am giving from a place that needed to be filled first. The work that I do well, but that has stopped giving anything back. I remember when it felt like calling. There were seasons when I finished a day, and the tiredness at the end of it was the satisfying kind, the kind that comes from having done something that mattered. That tiredness felt different from this one. This one is the kind that comes from doing the same things with the same competence and feeling, somewhere underneath the competence, that the meaning has quietly drained out somewhere along the way, without my noticing exactly when. Lord, I don't know if this is a season or a signal. I don't know if what I need is rest or change or both or something I haven't named yet. I am not asking you to resolve that this morning. I am asking you to hold it with me, to be present in the not yet knowing of it, to not require me to have it figured out before. You will sit with me in it. Father, I pray for the body you have given me, which is carrying the weight of a tired soul in ways I can feel. The shoulders that have been holding tension so long the holding feels normal. The sleep that restores me to functional, but does not reach the deep place. The low-grade headache that arrives on the days when I have not drunk enough water and eaten lunch at 3 p.m., again because the morning slipped away before I had a chance to take care of the simplest things. The chest that tightens on Sunday evenings in advance of a week that hasn't started yet. Touch these things, Lord. Not dramatically, I am not asking for a miracle. I am asking for the quiet physiological mercy of a God who, Isaiah says, neither tires nor grows weary. Let something of your inexhaustible nature permeate the exhausted animal of my body. Let the sleep tonight be deeper than last night. Let the shoulders loosen incrementally under the specific weight of knowing that you are carrying what they have been carrying on my behalf. Holy Spirit, I ask you to do the particular work that only you can do in the place where hope lives. Because what tiredness does, over time, is shrink the imagination. When I was less depleted, I could see further. I could hold a vision of what things might become, and that vision gave the hard days a context that made them bearable. But sustained tiredness flattens the horizon. It makes the current state of things feel permanent, and permanence begins to feel inevitable, and inevitability begins to feel like the truth of the situation, rather than just the view from very close up. I need you to expand my horizon this morning, not with false optimism, not with the performance of certainty I do not feel, just with a small but genuine extension of what I can see, enough to believe that this season, while real, is not the whole story, enough to remember that there have been seasons before this one that also felt permanent and also ended, enough to hold, even loosely, the possibility that what feels like arrival is actually still transit. Give me back a small piece of my imagination for what could be, not the grand vision, just enough to make today's faithful showing up feel connected to something rather than stranded. Lord, I also pray for the people in my life who do not know how tired I am, because I have not told them, because I am not sure how, because the honest answer to, "How are you doing?" would take more than the situation allows for. I am not asking you to arrange a dramatic disclosure, but I am asking you to open one conversation in the coming days where something real can be said. One person who asks and means it. One moment where the honest answer gets to come out, quietly, without requiring me to perform a recovery I haven't had yet. I don't need a rescue. I need one person to know. And for the people who are tired the way I am tired, the ones in my circle who are also running on fumes, who are also performing okayness, who are also waiting for someone to ask the second question, make me attentive enough to ask it. Let my own tiredness, rather than making me less available to others, make me more perceptive about where they are. Let it produce empathy rather than isolation. Father, I close this prayer the way a pilgrim closes a day's walking, not at the destination yet, but further along than this morning, setting down what I carried in, taking up what the road ahead requires, and trusting that the one who set the path knows both the pace I am capable of and the rest stops he has placed along the way. You do not ask me to soar today. You ask me to walk and not faint. That I can do not because I am strong enough, but because the promise says the strength is yours and the fainting is what you prevent. In the name of Jesus, who was weary with his journey and still asked for water and still changed everything at a well in the middle of the afternoon. Amen. When was the last time someone asked how you were doing and you gave them the real answer? And what did that feel like? If you've never had that, or if it's been so long you can't remember, that's worth leaving here too. The eagle does not generate the thermal. It finds the current that is already rising, extends its wings, and lets the air do what the air was made to do. What follows is not effort. It is the spoken agreement that the current is real said out loud, before the feeling of lifting arrives. These are not feelings. They are the current I am extending my wings into because Isaiah said it, and Isaiah's God does not change. The Lord does not grow tired or weary, which means the strength his offer this morning has not been diminished by everything. He has already carried this week, this year, across the whole of human history. His reservoir is not in the condition mine is in. What he gives me today costs him nothing of what he holds. I draw from a source that does not deplete. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak, not to the already strong, not to the ones who have managed to maintain their reserves through discipline and self-care. To the weary, to the weak, I qualify this morning. I am in the exact category this promise was written for. Those who kavar, who entwine themselves around him, will chaluf, will exchange, and will receive what they did not produce and could not have produced on their own. I am choosing right now to wind what I have left around who he is. This is not a metaphor. It is a spiritual act, and the promise attached to it has not expired. I will walk today and not faint, not because I feel capable of it, because he said so, and what he says holds, even on the days my feelings do not confirm it. The strength is already in the current. I only have to extend my wings. The sky over this Friday is the same sky Isaiah was looking at when he wrote those words. The current that lifts eagles is still rising. Go out into it. May the God who neither tires nor grows weary meet you in the specific exhaustion of this Friday. Not in the version of it you have made presentable for others, but in the actual one, the one you named this morning. May the exchange Isaiah promised be real for you today. May you find, at some point in these hours, that you are carrying less than you brought into them, not because the circumstances changed, but because something invisible has shifted in the place where your strength comes from. May you walk and not faint. It is an unspectacular promise for an ordinary Friday. It is also exactly enough. And may you be surprised, at least once today, by a moment where the tiredness lifts just long enough to remind you that it is not your permanent address that beneath the season you are in. There is a self that is being renewed, quietly, in ways you cannot yet measure, but that are nonetheless real. You are not alone in this. The one who holds inexhaustible strength is holding you. If someone came to mind this morning, someone you know, who has been running on empty for longer than they have admitted to anyone, pass this prayer on to them, not with an explanation, just, this one is for you. We will be here again tomorrow morning, not because the tiredness will be fully gone by then, but because renewal is not a single exchange. It is a daily returning to the current that is always rising.